During week 235 of Brada's Branded Thoughts, a look at my predictions for the 2024 Big Ten Women's Basketball Tournament up in Minneapolis. Tip-off set for tomorrow. Your Iowa Hawkeyes don't play till Friday. We'll look at my completed bracket, including my projected champion. Can the Hawkeyes go to Minneapolis to Carver North and take care of business? We'll talk about it. Plus, an exclusive interview with incoming Iowa DB Rashad Godfrey, a gem from down south in the state of Florida, in the Tampa area. He joins the show to talk about his decision to be a Hawkeye and what he brings to the table for Phil Parker's bunch. All that coming up during week 235 of Brada's Branded Thoughts. This is from the Hawkeye of the Storm. Straight from the man cave, Kinnick Under the Kitchen. Authentic, original player artwork is being drawn up for Hawkeye fans everywhere. Locally made prints of stars wearing the black and gold from the past, present, and future. How about current Hawkeye superstars Cooper DeJean and Tory Taylor? Legends of the past like Jack Campbell, Spencer Lee, and Tim Dwight. Plus future phenoms like Aaron Graves. There are so many options available. They make great gifts, and your purchase benefits the Hawkeye athletes wearing the black and gold. Visit Under the Kitchen on Facebook or at Under the Kitchen's new website. That's underthekitchen.square.site. Again, that's underthekitchen.square.site. Check out Under the Kitchen today and get your authentic, original Hawkeye print. Week 235 of Brada's Branded Thoughts. And yes, it's the football offseason, but this show doesn't stop. And we are headed to an exciting stretch of time for Iowa women's basketball. In fact, we're going to be talking about the Big Ten tournament, which is tipping off tomorrow. I'm recording this on Tuesday, March 5th. But the tournament up in Minneapolis, it will be Carver North. It's sold out. Obviously, a bunch of Hawkeye fans excited for that. I had the opportunity to be at the final regular season game for Caitlin Clark in an Iowa uniform on Sunday against Ohio State. What an atmosphere in Carver. I expect more of the same up at the Target Center in Minneapolis. But what we're going to do today is take a look at the women's basketball bracket. And you're going to see my selections. Can Iowa take care of business once again in this tournament? It's a tournament where they've had success in recent time, including against the likes of Ohio State, etc. Some of the powers in the conference once again this year. Of course, Iowa coming off the win against Ohio State. So let's start at the top of the bracket. Play will commence on Wednesday. Here are my picks. You see my picks in the red. So first of all, the first game of the Big Ten tournament will be Northwestern and Purdue. These two teams, I think, fairly evenly matched. I've got the Boilers taking care of business and moving on to take on Nebraska. That game will take place on Thursday. Of course, the other one, Illinois, they've been kind of up and down, had a big-time blowout victory over Indiana a couple of weeks back, and they've just kind of been up and down, got throttled pretty good against Iowa, fought for a while, but ended up Iowa pulled away pretty comfortably in that one. They'll take on the 8-seed Maryland, who's having a down year. As you see there, I've got Illinois, the Illini, pulling through, making it to Friday, where they will take on the number 1 seed and Big Ten champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes, that are coming off that regular season finale defeat against Iowa. The other game to watch, Purdue and Nebraska, I went back and forth on this one. You may say, how can you say that? Nebraska's been up and down. I mean, look, they finished the season 11-7, but they're coming off a loss to Illinois on Sunday. Purdue battled them pretty well in West Lafayette earlier in the year. I do think Nebraska pulls this out. I really like their inside play led by Markowski and, of course, their star guard, Jazz Shelley, that hit a big shot against Iowa and Lincoln a couple of weeks back. I think Nebraska ultimately pulls it out, but I think that's going to be a really good Thursday matchup. And that leads us to a big-time matchup between Nebraska and Michigan State, the 5 versus the 4. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But first, Illinois, Ohio State. Any chance the Illini can pull the victory over the Buckeyes? I don't think so. And I'll tell you this, Illinois competed with Ohio State in Champaign, a single-digit loss for the Illini. And, you know, the old adage that it's hard to beat a team 3 times, I think there's some serious truth to that if you look at some of the data in these tournaments, especially when you're not talking about the elite of the elite versus the destitute of the bottom of the barrel, if you will. I would project that Ohio State wins this game, but on a neutral court, you never know what happens. I'll be anxious to see what the turnout for some of these non-Iowa teams are. And, of course, there's going to be a large Iowa crowd. You know that Iowa fans are going to be rooting for the underdogs in all of these other matchups. But I would say Ohio State pulls through. I think they just have more talent than Illinois, especially on the offensive end. they pull it out and head to Saturday to the semifinals. Nebraska and Michigan State, the 5 versus the 4. These two teams have not played since December when the Huskers came into East Lansing and knocked off the Spartans. I think Michigan State gets them back. Let's not forget, Michigan State really battled Iowa in Carver first half of the Big Ten season. That's a good Sparty team, probably the more underrated team in this conference at 22-7 and 12-6 overall. This should be a really good battle, but I think Nebraska will be coming off a battle from Thursday against Purdue. I've got Michigan State moving on in a tight one to face the Buckeyes in the semifinals. We look at the bottom of the bracket. First of all, Rutgers and Minnesota on Wednesday. I've got the Scarlet Knights actually winning this game. I do not have much confidence in Minnesota right now, even though they have the much better record. They're 15-14 overall. They're coming off a shellacking. They lost on the road in their regular season finale by 56 points, 90-34. I do fear that Minnesota has checked out. And by the way, the game right before that, Iowa beat them by, 48. So Minnesota has been a wreck ever since that Iowa loss, and really ever since the loss a couple weeks ago to Nebraska where they lost by 20. I will take the Scarlet Knights to win this game. Rutgers isn't very good, right? 8-23. That program is not what it used to be, but they're at least competing in games. I'll take the Scarlet Knights. They'll face Michigan in the second round. Michigan, kind of an up and down year for them as well. I'd almost call it a down year. They are coming off a nice win over the weekend against Purdue. And they'd kind of been up and down, losing basically every other game during the month of February. I think Michigan pulls through. Again, I don't have a lot of confidence in the talent level of that Rutgers Scarlet Knights roster. I think Michigan pulls it out, and they'll take on the 3-seed Indiana in the quarterfinal round. At the top of the draw there, you see Wisconsin and Penn State, who will play on Thursday. I like Penn State. As I talked about, they're coming off a shellacking of Minnesota. So they're coming into this tournament with some momentum. They're playing a middling Wisconsin team that's also coming off a blowout defeat. So, I mean, anything's possible in these tournaments. In tournament play, you have a longer opportunity at scouting, certainly, to some extent. I mean, these teams are playing Thursday, so it's not like Iowa not having to play till Friday. But I do think Penn State wins this game, but I could see, again, being very close. They'll take on Iowa, and Iowa fans know the story of that game. Iowa played Penn State once this year and beat them by a lot, 111-93, but they gave up 93 points, and that game was in Carver. Penn State caused some problems defensively for the Hawkeyes. Obviously, if you score 111, it's probably not going to matter. But to keep this in mind, Penn State made 13 threes against the Hawks and really did a nice job competing, actually outscored Iowa in transition. I think Iowa wins this game, but a nice little test heading into a monster matchup against Indiana in the semifinal round. I do think Indiana, as you can see there, is going to knock off Michigan. Michigan will be coming off probably a pretty routine win against Rutgers, but I've got a lot more confidence in the talent level at Indiana. Obviously, they're coming in with momentum, a pretty dominating couple of victories after that win against Iowa. Really, they've been awesome since losing to Illinois back on the 19th of February. They've had double-digit victories at home against Iowa, on the road against Northwestern, and then at home against Maryland. And again, Michigan has not been all that impressive really at any point in the season. I think Indiana takes care of business, probably in relatively easy fashion, setting up a matchup between Iowa and Indiana that will be kind of the tiebreaker because these two teams split dominating victories on their home courts during the regular season. We go back up to the top, the first semifinal matchup, which will be early in the day on Saturday. It's Ohio State and Michigan State. So I've got the top 4 seeds in the semifinals. I don't think we're going to see any major surprises as it relates to those 4 overall seeds, but I do think we'll see a surprise at the top here. I think Michigan State knocks off Ohio State. Why? Michigan State, like Iowa did on Sunday, and even when they played at Columbus, Michigan State will challenge the Buckeyes offensively. They are second in the conference in points per game, 4th in the conference in field goal percentage, and 2nd in points differential. So when they get it rolling offensively, they are hard to beat. Now, they do give up points as a defense, and Ohio State is really good offensively as well. They're also top 5 in the conference in most offensive stats. But I think this should be a shootout, and I see this game being won on the glass. These two teams are 12th and 13th in the conference, respectively, as it relates to rebounding per game. So, battle of a couple of weaknesses here. Who can rebound effectively? It's hard to predict some of these games that are going to be higher scoring in tournament play, but I do think Michigan State will be a little bit more tested. I think they'll get a fight out of Nebraska. Not that Illinois can't push Ohio State in the preceding round, but I think Michigan State surprises people. They get to Sunday as a 4 seed, and that leaves us with Iowa, Indiana, a matchup that everybody will want to see. Obviously, a really talented Indiana roster that just beat Iowa in pretty conclusive fashion here just last week. Another high-scoring Hoosiers team that shoots the ball really well. They're first in the conference in field goal percentage between their sharpshooters, Garzone and Scalia. Of course, their inside presence with Mackenzie Holmes is going to cause problems for whoever's playing the 5, whether it be Hannah Stulke or at times you're going to see some Addison O'Grady. We really haven't seen anything from Sharon Goodman of late besides her senior day besides getting to see her honored on senior day. So I think that's going to be obviously the storyline to follow. So I think the battle inside will once again be a big-time storyline to follow. Can Hannah Stulke stay out of foul trouble? I ultimately don't know that there's a better team in this conference, and I know I may sound like a homer. I've picked against Iowa a number of times on a number of occasions, but ultimately it's hard for me to pick against a team with Caitlin Clark that's playing as well as it's playing right now. I've got the Hawkeyes winning. I think it'll be a high-scoring game, but I just have a hard time not banking on this offense to pull this team through against the likes of, a Penn State, Indiana, and as we move to our championship round against Michigan State. I think Iowa repeats. I think they go up to Minneapolis. They take home the tournament title, and they head into the NCAA tournament with momentum. Now, keep in mind, they do not have Molly Davis. Molly Davis not expected to play in the Big Ten tournament. She is expected to be back for the NCAA tournament. Sounds like she's suffering from a kneecap injury, patella injury, and so we'll see when they get her back. But if Iowa's going to win this week, it'll be without the likes of Molly Davis. And frankly, not that a Big Ten tournament title wouldn't matter a lot, because it would. I'm sure the ladies all want another trophy, another title to take home. But ultimately, they're playing for success in the NCAA tournament. So being able to play maybe a 3-game stretch without the likes of one of their leaders in Molly Davis, without another ball handler in Molly Davis, could pay dividends down the road, even if they don't win the title. But again, Sydney Falter, Kylie Fierbach, along with Stulke and Clark, and what we've seen late in games lately from Kate Martin, I just think will be too much. I think they beat Michigan State. A lot of high-scoring games here because a lot of high firepower teams in this conference. This conference, even though it's the Big Ten and a lot of, you're talking about men's basketball, football, this conference is traditionally known for really good defense. Top teams in this league can score the ball at a high rate. You're talking Indiana, Ohio State, Michigan State, and Iowa, the top 4 seeds in the tournament. I think Iowa pulls it out as the 2 seed, and they head into March Madness, the NCAA tournament, with yet another Big Ten title under their belt. Coming up in just a moment, an exclusive interview with future Hawkeye Rashad Godfrey, who's joining Phil Parker's room in 2024. We'll talk to Rashad right here after this break. You're watching From the Hawkeye of the Storm. Let me introduce you to one of the proud supporters of From the Hawkeye of the Storm, Iowa floor covering down in Bondurant. Now, for the last year and a half, you've heard me talk about this great company in the heart of central Iowa. They've got their tough core, click together, 4.5 millimeter waterproof vinyl flooring, great for you DIYers out there. But even if you're just a contractor or you need a different type of flooring, they've got you covered, whether it be tile showers, carpet. Give Iowa Floor Covering a chance to serve you better and serve your flooring needs. Visit them online at iowafloorcovering.com. That's iowafloorcovering.com, or you can give them a call at 515-379-7000. That's 515-379-7000. Thank you to Iowa Floor Covering in Bondurant. Mr. Rashad Godfrey. Rashad, welcome.
What's up? Hi. Thank you. What's up?
How are you?
I'm good. Just got home. Just spending time with the family after this big day.
Yeah, talk about this day, man. This is a long time coming, but what's it like to officially be a Hawkeye?
I'm excited. I feel like it's just starting. Like, as a kid, I always wanted to go to college, and this like a big goal for me in life. So now I'm just ready to get started and get down there and work. I feel like it's just starting a new journey. I got to go down there and work and compete. I'm just ready to get started.
Are you in Florida right now, sir?
Yes.
You're wearing a stocking?
Tampa, Florida. It's a little, it's a little windy. I just threw it on because this really like the only hat I have for Iowa.
Okay. I was gonna say, man, like if you're wearing what's the temperature right now in Sefner?
I think like 45.
Okay, 45. Yeah. Actually, that's not that much
Down.
warmer than it is here. We've had unseasonably warm weather, but you know all about the cold weather in Iowa. How long have you been in? Have you grown up in the state of Florida?
Yes, born and raised Tampa, Florida.
Okay. So what's it going to be like going to the cold weather to play football?
I'm gonna have to get used to it for sure, but I feel like it helped me out in the long run. Like if I go to an NFL team or something, like they might want me playing different weather and stuff. That's like a plus for me.
And I'm just curious, do you know anybody on the current Iowa roster? I know Jarrett Bowie's a Tampa kid. He's from Jesuit. Do you know Jarrett?
Yes. Actually, when I went down there, I was actually with him. Like we spent some time together, like just kicking.
Okay. Did he tell you anything about the transition? What that was like for him? Anything to get you prepared?
Oh, yeah. He really likes it. He was kind of like when we talked, he kind of gave me an extra push to why I like Iowa. So like, yeah, he was telling me that he like it. It feels like family. So yeah, now I'm starting to get the feeling of it. So yeah.
Yeah. Talk about what went into this decision, Rashad. I mean, Iowa, of course, wasn't your only offer. You had opportunities other places, but why did you settle on the University of Iowa?
So I went on an official visit in the summer, and I was down there with my mom, my uncle, and when I went down there, they were just showing so much love. They wasn't trying to be flashy with Lamborghinis and stuff. It was just all genuine love, and like it just felt like home. I seen that it was no distractions down there. It was just somewhere that I can focus and just play football. And then Phil Parker, he's one of the top defensive coordinators in college football. So I was like, I love to play for him. And yeah, it's just a brotherhood down there. And I wanted to be a part of it.
He's the top defensive coordinator in the country, right? He's the top assistant coach in the country.
Yep, for sure.
So, I mean, I had a conversation earlier with Michael Burt, who's also a part of the 23 class or 24 class, Rashad. And, you know, Iowa's undisputably right now tight end university. But, boy, Phil Parker has given Iowa fans reason for optimism with any young prospect that comes into that DB room. How much confidence do you have in him to develop your skill set?
I always tell him, I put it on Twitter all the time. Every time when he won the award, I was saying that I've been saying he's the GOAT. I have a lot of confidence in him. I feel like he can develop me in a lot of ways, like learning coverage. I already know a lot of coverage, but I feel like he can break it down to me. Like when I had meetings with him, he was able to tell me a lot of stuff to help me out. So like, yeah, I had a lot of confidence in him.
I'm looking through your list here, Rashad. You had a pretty lengthy list of schools that offered you. I mean, you talk about from almost coast to coast, whether you're talking about Kansas State or Boston College. You had a Duke offer. You Louisville come in on you. You had North Dakota State as a power at the FCS level. You had Oregon State. You had the hometown school in South Florida. Was there a close second, or was this once you got that Iowa offer and you made it to Iowa City and you saw the kind of the home feel that the Hawks offered? Was that kind of just it?
It was before I went to Iowa, I was like going to camps and stuff, so I was talking to different coaches. And one day, Coach Betts had called me because he's a Florida recruiter, and we were just talking. And I was like, "Oh yeah, I for sure have to get down there," because he was just telling me about down there, like how like I'm moving up on the board and that he really likes me and stuff. So I got down there, and I just fell in love with it. I just fell in love. It was just Gene went down there. Everybody else was just trying to like bribe me or like trying to get me down there to be like a bench player or something. They didn't want me. They just wanted me to come compete and be a bench. Here I have an opportunity if I come work hard.
And Rashad, are you a natural safety or corner?
I feel like I can play both. Either one. I got a lot of offers as a corner, so I just started playing safety this year because a lot of colleges are saying they like my size at safety. So I tried it and I ended up liking it a lot. So yeah.
So you're versatile. I look at it, someone your size and with the Iowa defense. I'm curious if you've had discussions about this or thought about it. Iowa kind of plays this 4-2-5 with this prototypical cash, if you will. I think guys like Amani Hooker, Sebastian Castro has been a revelation with that defense this season. Geno Stone. I mean, go down the list. Dane Belton. Is that a position you can see yourself playing, kind of a hybrid linebacker safety type of role?
Yes, I actually was talking to Coach Parker about that. He said that he's going to probably try me at corner and a bit safety, like to see where he likes me. Because he said he liked me at both places, but he want to have me out of a set position. But he said he going to try me at nickel, corner, and safety to see whatever he likes me at. But I'm willing to play it all.
Well, you're in good hands as far as somebody being able to figure out where you best fit. Doc P in the chat wants to know, one of our viewers wants to know if you're in any relation to Charles Godfrey.
I get that question all the time. Nah, I'm not. I actually, somebody just asked me that today. I get that question almost every day.
Okay. He wouldn't be a bad one to, I mean, he's not a bad one to share your last name with. He was a pretty good baller himself.
Yeah.
So, Rashad Godfrey, and am I right? Are these numbers correct on the screen, Rashad, that you're 6'2", 185? Is that about correct?
Yes. 6'2", 185.
Well, Rashad, we're super happy. We're stoked for you. When do you get to Iowa City?
I come down in June.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I run track and stuff, so I'm gonna stay for track, and then I'll get down there.
What's your well, you brought up track, I should ask you, what's your 100-meter time like?
I never really ran one.
Okay.
But like people say, because I'll do hurdles.
Okay.
So like I know that's different. So a lot of people don't know that. Like when they ask me, they just ask me what my 100-meter be. But I do hurdles, so I never really ran it. But if I ran it, it'll probably be like a 10-7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Rashad, we appreciate you being a part of the show. Thank you for taking the time this afternoon. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
You'll enjoy your time in Iowa City. It'll be a change being part of the cold weather in a totally different type of city and environment, but you're in good hands with Coach Parker, and we'll look forward to talking with you probably at Media Day next August.
Yes, sir. Sure.
Okay. Thanks, Rashad.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Appreciate Rashad Godfrey being a part of the show. Really nice kid. I mean, big city kid who's going to be coming up here to the Midwest. And I said the same thing when Jarrett Bowie committed. And I had a conversation with him on the previous signing day that, hey, not only is it a bit of a culture shock going from the big city and the Florida climate, but like this is a different world up here. I know we talked about his visit and how much it felt like a family atmosphere. And I have no doubt that that's the case. But I'm sure his relationship with Jarrett Bowie and the relationship he's already built with people like Phil Parker is going to help in that transition period. And he does have good size at 6'1". He's got the frame to potentially be a guy that they use either at safety or cash, but he's also been looked at as a corner. So maybe some flexibility for Phil Parker and company. Got to have confidence in the Broyles Award winner to figure out the right spot for Rashad Godfrey. And he'll likely have a year to figure it out, especially with the return of Quinn Schulte, the return of Sebastian Castro. Can you imagine in a couple of years a lineup featuring Rashad Godfrey, Cohen Entringer, Xavier Wampa, perhaps? Maybe that's the future for the Iowa defensive backfield. Appreciate you tuning in for another edition of the show. Be sure to hit that like button. Feel free to not only support our sponsors, that's appreciated, but you can also donate to the show. In the description, there are ways to donate to this show. Appreciate you watching, and we'll talk to you next time.